No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I am your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. I'm going to take these headphones off because I'm hearing myself. I don't need to do that. So, I appreciate each and every one of you joining me right here live on our YouTube channel. Do not forget to click below to subscribe to the channel. And you guess what? If you know what? You're a podcaster, I'm there too. Just go right there. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, you name it, I am there. Folks, the FireFly Fun House return tonight on Smackdown. John Cena, Bray Wyatt is coming for you. Wonder how that makes him feel. You know, shout out to Ashley Robinson joining in the chat. Bayley and Sasha Banks. Yeah, we're going to get into that next. But yeah, John Cena. I want to see Bray Wyatt win this match. And quite frankly, I want to see the return of the Doctor of Thugonomics. I said this on the show with the Shark, episode 117. Make sure you check that out. Said it with Sean Williams. I said, when you look at a guy like Bray Wyatt, he sends people back to what they used to be. The Miz, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan got a short haircut. You know, almost the American Dragon again. You look at what's his name? Seth Rollins. You know, the Monday Night Messiah. He wasn't the Monday Night Messiah, but he was evil, sadistic, and that's what he's returned to. What's going to happen? But folks, what happens if John Cena actually wins this match? You know, I don't know if it's going to happen necessarily, but you never know. You just never know what happens. So, I don't know. I don't see it happening, quite frankly. I think John Cena is not going to win this match. I think it belongs to Bray Wyatt, but I'm really interested to see the story that's going to be told here leading into this edition of WrestleMania 36. I want to see if John Cena will make an appearance this Sunday at the Elimination Chamber. I don't know if he will. You know, who knows? But speaking of which, SmackDown opened up with some Hall of Famers, folks. The New World Order came out to kick off the show, and we saw them join. Can I get this going? Yeah, we saw. Oh, that ain't it. We saw them come out there. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, they had a talk, quite frankly, and you know, the moment of bliss, whatever you want to call it. They talked to the NWO, and then they was interrupted by Sami Zayn. I hate to say this, the Intercontinental Championship has changed, and people do not realize it because you do not see it on television that much. Yes, Braun Strowman is the champion. Yes, Shinsuke Nakamura was the champion. But remember when the IC title was the Workhorse's title? You remember that? You remember when it was a time when you look forward to the Intercontinental Championship matches? They were the matches that stole the show. That's something we don't get right now. We don't get that with this Intercontinental Championship. You know, I haven't gotten attached to the new look because quite frankly, I don't see the title that much. You know, Braun Strowman is an afterthought. Shinsuke Nakamura is somebody who screams Intercontinental Champion, but for some reason just didn't have the right dance partners when he was champion. So, you know, I'm not satisfied with his title reign, quite frankly. So let me know what you guys think. You can drop your comments right here in the chat, or you can at me on Twitter at Brian H. Waters. Let me know, how do you feel about Shinsuke as the Braun Strowman is the Intercontinental Champion, and how do you feel about the new title design? I haven't seen anybody with it. Usually I would have seen like some of the, you know, the belt fans out there, a lot of the belt collectors with the championship belt. I haven't seen it. And like I said, it could be me. Maybe I'm just not, you know, up to date, but I've seen people with the Daniel Bryan title. I've seen maybe one person flash the Bray Wyatt championship on Facebook or Twitter. I have not seen nobody flash the championship. So let me know what you guys think. Let's get to Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose. So, oh man, I feel bad. Shout out to Die Sporting Net, my boy Damaris Die. He was on for quite a few episodes. That a very missable episode of Smackdown. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I'm not going to disagree, but I committed myself to going live, even though my Lakers are playing the Bucks. But I committed myself. I wanted to go live. I wanted to try this format out, and so that's the reason why I watched the whole thing. But Mandy Rose, Dolph Ziggler. I don't like this. But guess what? That's what it's made to do. It's made to draw heat. It's made for me not to like this storyline. Now, I was going to save the tag team gauntlet for later on in the show, but I'll get right into it because of the way it ended. It ended with Rude and Ziggler earning the final spot in the Elimination Chamber match. And who did Dolph Ziggler pin? Of course he pinned Otis. Somebody said it. They called it on Twitter. I ain't going to lie. I was thinking about it, but I ain't really put all the pieces together because I was getting ready, pre-production, but it made sense. I like where they're going with this. I don't think at one point I thought maybe Tucker was going to surprise everybody and then steal Mandy from Otis, but I'm like, nah, it's some money in Heavy Machinery with toys and merchandise, so I don't think they want to break those guys up. But I'm sitting there thinking, I said, this is going to be a heavy collision, and maybe, just maybe, Ziggler and Rude win the championships and therefore will defend the titles against Heavy Machinery at WrestleMania. That's what I would do. Maybe WWE's thinking the same way. Maybe they're not. I think Miz and Morris. I mean, you also have money in. You always got money in the Usos versus the New Day. You got money in the Usos versus Miz and Morrison, clearly. So, but that's just another thing out there. And quite frankly, perhaps they don't need the championship in this match, but I do think it would be a nice incentive when you think about it for Heavy Machinery to want to get those tag titles and to get revenge. And here's another thing. Another thing I'm looking at, it kind of reminds me of Bubba Ray being distracted by Trish Stratus. Now, granted, when they went against TNA at Backlash 2000, it wasn't like, Bubba was the heel, Trish was the sort of heel-ish face, but, she was a face. They just, fans cheered when she got thrown through the table. There wasn't a title on the line. So, you don't need a title right there. D said, I could see Bayley turn on Sasha soon. I'll get right into that next. I just like I told Ashley earlier, but that's where I am with this one. So, let's talk Bayley. You want to talk Bayley? We're going to talk Bayley. Sasha Banks and Bayley defeat Naomi and Lacey Evans. I believe they did this match last week. Nonetheless, Sasha got a nice win, pinning Naomi. Here's the thing, right? When I really think about this, I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to get, there we go. You see this love affair between Sasha and Bayley. These two love each other. I don't need to see neither one of these ladies turn on each other. I said this over and over again. I'm going to stick with it. Here's why. Because when you really think about this, you want this to build, and you want it to build for a long time. Now, granted, you can always dip back into the stories from back before, the therapy sessions, Dr. Shelby. You can do all that. But I think it's better if you don't do this right now. Let these two ladies have let them get one more tag team championship run. And speaking of tag team championship, shout out to Alexa Bliss for calling out the Kabuki Warriors, letting them know those titles are supposed to be defended on every brand, not just Raw. With that being said, I had to get that off my chest. I just don't agree with Sasha and Bayley, and it may happen, it may not. I don't want to see it happen no time soon. I know a lot of people do. I don't want to see that happen right now, folks. I just think they still got ways to go with this so that when the climax happens, it can be bigger. I think that if you do this, then perhaps next year, I know we may not see it. We may not, but perhaps next year you could possibly see the women main event and these two women main event in WrestleMania. I would love to see a one-on-one women's match that does not include Charlotte Flair main event WrestleMania. And I think this could be the match. I could be wrong, but I definitely think this could be the match. But we shall see. So I'm going to go ahead and oh no, you know what? I meant to talk about this. So the other day, Shark and I had brought up Dana Brooke. And I quite frankly said I believe Batista hit it and quit it. And we hadn't seen Dana Brooke on television. Well, guess what? Guess the WWE watched episode 117 because we saw Dana Brooke on television. Of course, she got pinned by Mandy Rose. But, another win for Fire and Desire, which I really like this team. I would love to see them get an opportunity at the tag team titles to actually carry the championship. And I think, you could build something with them and Sasha and Bayley. Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and take my first break, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure, if you haven't done so, check out Wrestling for the Culture featuring Kaya Dream. Here's a clip from that episode. All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. That is my interview with Kaya Dream, a portion of it. Make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or go right here on YouTube. When you finish this show, check it out. She's a young up-and-comer wrestler out of Florida. So, we talked about that. Here's a quick spoiler alert. Her dad told her, maybe you should try out being a diva. And she was just took it. He was joking. Little did he know his joke would become true as she is now pursuing her dream. Shout out to Kaya. So, folks, a dream match in the making. Looks like it's going to happen in Philly this Sunday at the Elimination Chamber. As we see Daniel Bryan taking on Drew Gulak. It's a huge disservice because this is a match where you're going to have two in-ring technicians going at it. And it would be nice to see this match kind of have a little bit more build-up, a little bit more feud. Now, I know these guys are going to go in the ring. They're going to kill it. They're going to tell a story. I know that. But I think you could do a little bit more here. Daniel Bryan right now doesn't have a set opponent for WrestleMania. Hello, you could get Drew Gulak on the card. Last year, he may have been on there. I think he lost the Cruiserweight Championship. I know Tony Nese won it. It was a big deal. It was in New York, New Jersey. It was happy for everybody, all the indie marks and all the indie wrestlers and indie fans out there. But I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, these guys are going to go out there and they're going to tear the house down. They're going to steal the show. Bottom line, they're going to steal the show. Elimination Chamber matches are usually cluster. You know what? This is a perfect match opportunity for them. However, I just wish it had a little bit more build up. That's just me, folks. So, let's move on. Sheamus. So I was listening to the Big Show's appearance on Corey Graves' podcast, and one of the things he talked about was how he wrestled Sheamus so many nights in a row, and he got the smack beat out of him. And I look at a guy like Apollo Crews. Folks, I'm sorry to tell you, there was never any plans for Apollo Crews when he got to the main roster. His biggest highlight was being with Titus O'Neil and Dana Brooke. I'm sorry. I felt that he should still be on NXT. I felt like his personality didn't develop. And at me if I'm wrong, at Brian H. Waters, I'll put it up there so you guys know how to spell it right. Yeah, there it is, at Brian H. Waters. You can tweet me if I'm wrong. Tweet us at the Wrestling Realm, But I just don't think there was ever any plans for Apollo Crews. I could be wrong. But I sit here and I'm watching this guy, and he has done absolutely nothing. Now, I know I went on social media last week. I talked about Curtis Axel. I said all these years, in 10 years in the WWE, he hasn't done diddly squat. And I got a lot of heat. Clearly, I was joking. I know he's an Intercontinental Champion. I wanted more for him. I'm a third-generation mark. When I see some of my favorite wrestlers' children in the ring, I am going to be a fan 9 times out of 10. It just is what it is. However, when I look at a guy in Curtis Axel, I have to understand that this guy does not have the personality of his dad. He actually, unfortunately, doesn't do anything better than his dad. Shout out to the late, great Mr. Perfect. And we knew everything he did was absolutely perfect. But that's the thing, man. I just wish, I want more, man. I want more. So, we'll see. But I just don't think there was ever any plans for Apollo Crews. There's rumors out there. Vince McMahon isn't high on Ricochet anymore. That's why they buried him. And then, I think Black Wrestling Alliance. Shout out to my boy A Dazzle. He's going to link up with Jamila Scott, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. Shout out to her, my good sister. But one of the things he put out, One and Lonely, and I thought that was so accurate, so funny and true. But now I sit back and I'm just saying, there was never any plans for Apollo Crews. He's just a glorified utility player. I know people was excited. Ooh-ha, it's got signed by the WWE. But he's a good wrestler and nothing else. So when you out there screaming this guy to the main roster, that guy to the main roster, be careful what you wish for, because you just may get it. I'm just saying. So now it's time for Wrestling for the Culture.
It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week.
So, Wrestling for the Culture, of course, I had to start off with the brand new Raw Tag Team Champions of the World. And their names are the Street Profits. Why? Because they want the smoke. Congratulations to the Street Profits winning the tag team titles. One of the nicest things I seen was when Montez Ford showed the reaction from his children. I remember when Kevin Owens did it, and when Kevin Owens showed the reaction when he first showed up on Raw. I love stuff like this as a father myself. I love to see that the children inside, just getting very excited about this. So shout out to him. Congratulations to the Street Profits. I was worried. I was worried that they would be one of those teams like Crime Time. Not that, but like them, like Men on a Mission. No, I think they actually won the titles. The Killer Bees. These teams that's there and they're good hands, but they don't win the big one. You remember, it took the Usos forever. If y'all remember that, it seemed like the Usos were never going to get the championships. Now they had them a gazillion times, which I love, but I was worried that these guys were never going to get the straps. So shout out to them. So we move on, man. Nia Jax. She is out there to let Vinnie Mac know she is ready. She tweeted him, "Hey, Vince, at Vince McMahon, I'm ready. Hashtag irresistible force." We all know she's been out due to injury, and she is letting Vince know she is ready to come back and make a return. So she's breaking the internet for sure. Shout out to Nia Jax. Do your thing. Can't wait for her to return. Perhaps she may be back at WrestleMania. If you know there's word that Vince isn't high on Shayna Baszler, who knows? You could go full circle and it would be Becky versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship. Only time will tell. But this next portion is new gold presented by, or black gold presented by the Black Wrestling Alliance. Make sure you follow my boy A Dazzle doing this thing on Instagram at Black Wrestling Alliance. So where are we starting off? We are starting off with Myron Reed, who made history, crowned the first ever Squared Circle Project Heavyweight Champion last Saturday. Congratulations to Myron Reed. You also know he is the MLW Middleweight Champion. Then we got Purple Haze, who made history 2 weeks ago, becoming a double champion, both by winning the Elite Championship Wrestling Junior Heavyweight and the Heavyweight Championship. So he's a double champion. So we move on. Nikolai White. Hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Let me know and I will get it right the next time. He is the new world champion of a New Jersey, New York promotion called One Vision Pro Wrestling. Congratulations to Mr. White. And then last, but certainly not least, Bad Banks is the new Indie Heritage Champion. So congratulations to Bad Banks. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out my boy A Dazzle on Instagram, folks. So, folks, thank you for joining me on the first ever live edition of Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down low. Even if you're watching this later on, maybe you didn't watch it live, hit the subscribe button down below. Turn on your notifications so you will be notified every time I drop a new episode. And of course, right there is let you know Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio. I am there. And of course, follow us at Wrestling Realm on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is simply The Wrestling Realm. Like the fan page, folks. So until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.